Hey guys, how's it going? Kama here from Lunar Clan. Today I'm going to be giving you guys a tutorial on how to optimize your Fortnite settings to the absolute max. This is an FPS boost tutorial. This is not a quality tutorial. If you're looking to get better quality, this video is not for you. This is strictly for boosting your FPS for a competitive advantage while you're playing the game. Also keep in mind, this tutorial may differ depending on if you have an AMD or an NVIDIA graphics card. As you can see, I'm running on Windows 10, however, my start menu looks a lot different. It's reminiscent of Windows 7. I'm actually using a program called Classic Shell to get that look. So if you look that up, I think it's called Open Shell now because it is an open source software and the original developers abandoned it. But anyway, back to the tutorial. If you click on your start menu, type in devmgmt.msc. This is what you're going to select. It's going to open up Device Manager, which shows you all the devices that you currently have connected to your computer, whether it be USB devices, mice, those are the same thing, I guess, but your processor, all of that. Basically, what we're going to be looking for here is your display adapters. If you drop that down, you can see mine says NVIDIA. If yours says AMD or Radeon, then this tutorial is definitely going to be different, so you might want to find another tutorial. Otherwise, you can check the description. I've pasted a link there from Reddit. This post on Reddit is what I originally followed to get my Fortnite to the best performance. Make sure you check out that post if you haven't already. What we're going to do to get started is launch the Epic Games launcher. Once that boots up, what you're going to want to do is select library, find out where Fortnite is. Your list might look different. This is what mine looks like. I favorited it, so I can just click on favorites. You're going to want to select the three dots and click on options. You're going to want to make sure that yours is set up the exact way that mine is. If you've never purchased Save the World and you don't have Save the World, just remove it from here. You don't need that. But basically, uncheck high resolution textures. Keep your DirectX 12 shaders checked. Disable cosmetic streaming. Now, what cosmetic streaming does is basically anytime there's a sound that plays in the game, it downloads that sound for a brief moment and plays it instead of just hosting the file locally and playing it. Now, when you check this on, it is going to take up more storage on your computer, so about 6.15 gigabytes. So make sure you have the storage space available, but once you enable that, your Fortnite will start updating and it will save the changes that you made. Make sure any additional language is unchecked. I speak English. I don't speak any other language, so I have all of those turned off. So yeah, just make sure, Save the World is off. I personally have Save the World, so I keep it on. Next, what we're going to want to do is set up launcher settings. So your Epic Games launcher, click on your name up here and click on settings, and you're going to want to scroll down to where it says Fortnite. You can have this checked on if you want, auto update Fortnite. It's really up to personal preference, but what we're going to be doing is enabling additional command line arguments. Now, I posted this down in the description, so you can just copy and paste it in, but we're enabling LANPLAY, which basically tells the engine not to cap the client bandwidth when connecting to servers. So it basically allows your bandwidth to be completely uncapped. This might slow down your internet in some instances if you have really slow internet. So make sure, if you got other people on the internet, you don't want to piss them off. Use all available cores. Basically, what this does is it forces this program specifically to use all of the available cores on your computer. It forces Fortnite to use all the available cores that you have on your CPU. What preferred processors does, and then this number followed after, is basically we are specifying how many processor cores we want allocated or available for Fortnite to run off of. So what you're going to want to do is right click on your task manager, right click on your taskbar and click task manager, or you can hold Control, Shift, and Escape. We're going to be going over to the Performance tab and click on CPU. If you look down here where it says Logical Processors, I have 16. Whatever number you have listed for logical processors is what you're going to want to paste right here. After that is done, we are going to move on to the next step, which is going into your Epic Games settings, and we're going to be basically changing some of this here. So you're basically just going to want to follow what you see here. Enable offline mode browsing on. Minimize system to tray on. You don't have to do anything for this one. You could have it turned off or on. It's really up to personal preference. Enable debug logging off. Hide game library off. Allow installs while editors are running. Turn that off. Enable cloud saves. You want to have that on in specific cases. I don't think Fortnite really has any kind of cloud saving that it does other than like in-game. Having that, specified in the Epic Games launcher should not matter to you. Throttle downloads, turn that off. Use proxy off. Now, this is really up to you, but I have them both turned off because it can overlay and cause lag. But show free game notifications, turn that off, and show news and special offer notifications, turn that off as well. After all that is off, we are going to move over to the next step. So the next step that we're going to move on to is actually opening up a file explorer. Now to do this, you can hold the Windows key and click E, or you can just, open it up on your click on your Windows button and type in Explorer, explorer.exe or Explorer, whatever pops up for you there. We're basically going to be locating where Fortnite is installed. For my installation, it is actually installed. What we're going to be doing is click on the 3 dots next to Fortnite, click on Manage, and then you're basically going to be clicking this little folder icon next to installation. That'll open up the folder that Fortnite is contained within. And we're basically going to be navigating to Fortnite game, binaries, Win64, and inside of here, find where Fortnite is. It's going to be Fortnite client Win64 shipping.exe. We're going to right click that and click on properties. Now, after this window opens up, we're going to navigate to the compatibility tab. And basically what you're going to do is just make sure that disable full screen optimizations is turned on, so you want that checked. And then if you click on change high DPI settings, you can see there is override high DPI scaling behavior. Make sure that that is selected. You don't have to pay attention to this. You can leave it at the default. And then just click OK, apply, OK, and you should be good there. Moving on to the next step, we are actually going to have to open up Fortnite, so I will see you once we get there. Alright, so after you have Fortnite opened up, basically what we're going to be doing is going into your settings. After you're in settings, what you're going to want to do is just check your window mode, make sure it's either full screen. If you're getting like a black flashing screen when you click out of the window, just set it to windowed full screen. That's what I use. You're going to want to check with your resolution, make sure it matches your monitor. If it's any lower than what your monitor is, you're going to want to change it to what it is. You could also lower your resolution if you are experiencing a lot of lag. However, it might look wonky depending on what your monitor resolution is. The way you can check your monitor resolution is if you go onto your desktop, right-click, click Display Settings. It'll open up this window right here. And once you have this window opened, select the monitor that you're trying to use. In this case, it's monitor number 2. And then just check the display resolution. Whichever one says recommended is what your resolution should be. 1920 by 1080, so in-game. It's set to 3440 by 1440 because that is actually my middle monitor, so don't pay attention to that. Make sure VSync is turned off, because if VSync is on, you can actually get a lot of input delay. Even with FreeSync and G-Sync, you will receive input delay. The slightest input delay bothers me, so I'm very particular about that. Your frame rate limit, this really depends on what your monitor's frame rate is. So once again, if you open up your display settings, getting those display settings open up, select the monitor that we're talking about and click Advanced Display Settings. You can see the refresh rate here. Whatever the maximum is what you're going to want to set your Fortnite to. Also, make sure that whatever the maximum available number is on that previous window, you actually set it to the maximum. Next, we're going to set our brightness to about 109%. Set the user face contrast to whatever you please. I personally have it turned up a little bit because it makes it look a lot more colorful. It really doesn't matter. It's personal preference. I'm going to set mine to, 102 probably is good. Set your colorblind mode to Tritanope. Set the colorblind strength to 7. This will basically guarantee that you can see better through the storm. They might have patched this, but it definitely does make a difference when you're in the storm. It might make it easier to see people while you're fighting in the storm. It makes it a lot easier to see with all those effects going off across the screen and all that. Alright, so your quality preset. Basically, I am going into performance mode, so make sure you're not on DirectX 11, you're not on DirectX 12, but you're on performance mode. This will guarantee that you get the most performance. 3D resolution, it's really up to personal preference. You can turn this as low as you want. The lower it goes, the more like Minecraft it'll look. I keep mine at 100% because that guarantees the graphical fidelity is the best. I can see textures and whatnot, can make out what they are. Nanite virtualized geometry, most often than not, if you're in performance mode, you're not going to be able to enable this. I personally keep my view distance at epic. That way I can see objects from far away even when I'm gliding down. If you have a really slow computer, you should set this to medium or low. It really depends on how fast your computer is, but the view distance is one of the options that I typically like to keep maxed out. Your textures, keep those on low. Your meshes, keep those on low. And make sure that you turn show FPS on so you can actually see what your FPS is. As you can see in the little corner right down here. You may be wondering, why is it at 177 when I have it set to 180? We're going to be going over that in a bit here. One thing is there are low latency modes normally when you're in the other options, and some of you might live by these. Unfortunately, when you have it set to performance mode, they are not available. However, we are going to be going into the actual graphics settings later and manually modifying those and turning them on. What we're going to do here, make sure you switch to the tab here. Figure out what your best matchmaking region is. A lot of times people have it set to auto. You really just want to make sure that you figure out what the best setting is and manually set it. Don't let it automatically do it for you. Another thing we're going to want to do here is scroll down. Make sure that you turn all of the replays off. because they actually do cause a bit of lag and they take up hard drive space. If you have replays turned on, a lot of you guys probably want to be able to record your replays. There are other ways to do that. Recording them in game is probably the least performance hungry, but unfortunately having them turned on will cause lag. Make sure you turn your energy saving settings off. We don't need to save energy if we're trying to be competitive, as sad as that sounds, it's true. Basically, what we're going to be doing next is going over to our audio tab here, making sure you set your sound quality to low, because it actually does decrease performance having it set to high. I have Dolby Atmos enabled on my computer, so I set the 3D headphones to on. It basically gives me a lot more spatial awareness while I'm gaming, so that's what I have that set to. All these other settings, they don't really matter. You can turn on visualized sound effects if you want. I personally keep them off because I have ADHD, and having a lot on the screen definitely overwhelms my brain, and it causes me to actually be terrible when I'm fighting. After that is all complete, basically what we're going to be doing is closing down the settings, closing down Fortnite, and going to the very next step. Alright, so for the next step, it definitely can get a little bit confusing here, so bear with me. There are a few different ways to navigate here. The first way would actually be to go to your computer, select this PC, open up your local disk C, go to users, select your profile. At the top here, you can click on a blank space and then click again to unhighlight everything, add another backslash, and then type in app data. Make sure that you capitalize the A and the D. It'll bring you to this folder here. Another way you can get to here is if you click on your start menu, type in %app data %. That will bring you up to the roaming folder. Click back on it, go to app data instead, because we are going to local. That's where Fortnite game is located. So find the Fortnite game folder, open that up, go to saved, config, Windows client, and then game user settings. Now, I personally am using Notepad++ to edit this, as it makes it a lot easier to see. I will put a link in the description for Notepad++, so just make sure that you follow that. Click that link, download Notepad++ if you want yours to look exactly like mine. So basically what we're going to do, right-click, you can click open and select Notepad. I'm going to click edit with Notepad++. Now, here's where we get into the fun part. There is a lot of searching to do here, so you're going to want to be scrolling and looking for things. So follow along the best you can. Look for, I'm going to be using a search window, which it's fine, so I can easily find everything here. Oh, and by the way, you can open up the search window on Notepad as well if you hold down Control and click F. Basically, what we're going to be looking for here, B motion blur. Set that to false. Set show grass to false. Set B latency tweak to false. Latency tweak to 1. B latency flash to false. Fort anti-aliasing method to disabled. Desired global illumination quality to 0. Pre-nanite global illuminations to 0. Pre-nanite reflection quality to 0. B ray tracing to false. Display gamma, you're going to want to set this to 2.2900000. I have mine set to 2.300000. You can set it to either or, but make sure you keep it right around that range there. B, disable mouse acceleration to false. Low input latency mode is enabled. Set that to true. R dot ray tracing dot enabled in game to false. Your resolution quality, that once again is the display resolution that we were talking about. The lower you set this, the more like Minecraft it'll look like. Every single one of these SGs, besides your view distance, set to 0. So 0 on anti-aliasing quality, 0 on shadow quality, 0 on post-process quality, texture quality 0, effects quality 0, foliage quality, make sure that you set that to 0 as well. Unfortunately, I did not have that set to 0, so set that to 0. Shading quality 0, global illumination quality 0, and reflection quality 0. You're going to want to find your front end frame rate limit and set this 3 below your monitor. So in my case, my monitor is capped at 180 frames per second, so I would set mine to 177. If yours is set to 60, you would set it to 57. And, 120 would be 117. Just make sure that it's 3 below what your monitor is capped at. After that is complete, you're going to want to save this. So Control S or File and Save. And a very important step that I want to follow and have you guys follow is, it's unfortunate, but sometimes Fortnite will reset. Sometimes Fortnite will reset your settings without your approval. So basically take this file, right-click it, and copy it. And then find a folder, maybe on your desktop, somewhere you want to keep it safe. Right-click and paste. That way you have a backup of it. In case Fortnite resets your settings, you can easily drag the backup back in here, and it will automatically read from there. Now, this is this part of the tutorial is what I was talking about when I said that AMD users will not be able to follow this. Unfortunately, it is just not something that is unified across platforms when it comes to NVIDIA and AMD. So for everyone else, basically in the bottom here, I'm unfortunately recording on a separate monitor, so there's a little pop-up here. If you click that and then click on NVIDIA settings, you're going to right-click that and click on NVIDIA control panel. I'm going to access it from the desktop here, so I right-click on the desktop and click NVIDIA control panel. This is what you guys will be brought to. Basically, we're going to be going to adjust image settings with preview. Make sure that use the advanced 3D image setting is turned on. Also, quickly check on use my preference, emphasizing, and drag it all the way over to the left. Click performance, and then set it back to use the advanced 3D image settings. This probably doesn't matter. Just to cover our ground, I'm going to do that step. The next thing that we're going to go over to is manage 3D settings. Now, keep in mind this menu is a bit laggy, so once you click something, don't click off, don't accidentally click multiple things. Just follow very closely here. Basically, the first and foremost is ambient occlusion. Make sure that's set to off. Anastrophic filtering, make sure that's set to off. Anti-aliasing FXAA, set that to off. Anti-aliasing gamma correction, set that to off. Anti-aliasing mode, set that to off. Background application max frame rate, set that to off. CUDA GPUs, set that to all. DSR factors, set that to off. Low latency mode, you could turn this on or set it to ultra. I personally set it to ultra. Max frame rate, set that to off. Monitor technology, this really depends on what kind of monitor you have. If you have a G-Sync compatible monitor, you can enable it here. Otherwise, just keep it at what it was set to normally. Multi-frame sampled AA, MFAA, set that to off. OpenGL rendering GPU, set that to auto select. Power management mode, set that to prefer maximum performance. Preferred refresh rate, set that to highest available. Shader cache size, make sure you set that to driver default. Anastrophic sample optimization, turn that on. Negative LOD bias, set that to allow. Quality, make sure that's set to performance. Trilinear optimization, set that to on. Threaded optimization, keep that at auto. Triple buffering, turn that off. Vertical sync, set that to off, which is not set to off in my case, but turn that off. You do not want VSync on. Virtual reality pre-rendered frame, set that to 1. After all of that is set, click on apply. It will load, it'll flash a couple times. You'll know it's done once it goes away. Now we're going to be going over to adjust desktop color settings, and you're going to want to come down to your digital vibrance. It'll probably be set at 50. You're going to want to set this to 75. That will increase the saturation a little bit, the vibrance of colors on your monitor, and it will make it a little bit better to see in-game on Fortnite. Now, another very important step here is to make sure that your graphics drivers are up to date. You can check by clicking on your start menu and typing in GeForce and select GeForce Experience. I recently updated my graphics drivers, so there's not going to be anything to show here, but if you go over to the drivers tab, there is a check for updates button. You're going to want to click that and just see if you have an update. Follow the express installation if you do have an update. Now, a few Windows settings that we're going to cover here. If you hold down the Windows key and click I, it'll open up your settings. Otherwise, you can click on the Start button and type in Settings. You'll click Settings, select the Settings app. Basically, what we're going to be doing here is, first and foremost, you're going to want to look up Xbox Game Bar, and you're going to want to just make sure that is turned off. If that's turned on, it'll definitely cause some lag. Make sure that you go down to Game Mode and turn that on. That'll make sure that your computer boosts gaming performance. Another thing that we can do here is if you right-click on your Windows key and click System, you can click Advanced System Settings on the side here, and then you can go over to the Advanced tab and click on Performance, and click on Adjust for Best Performance, but make sure that you turn on Smooth Edges of Screen Fonts, otherwise your text will look like crap. There are some other settings that we can follow here. There are going to be some settings that I skip over, and you can follow those in the Reddit link in the description if you actually want to make sure that your performance is at the max. But basically, the last couple settings we're going to be checking out here. Click your Start button and type in Power. There will be power options. Make sure you click High Performance. If you don't see one that says High Performance, you can click Create a Power Plan, set it to High Performance, call it whatever you want, click Next, and that should be that. Make sure you select it after you click Next. Another step that I would like you guys to do, unfortunately I can't show you here because it is in the BIOS settings, but make sure that if you are using all of the DIMM slots on your motherboard for RAM, you enable an XMP profile. You're going to want to make sure that you do not have mix-matched memory. if you have different types of RAM, turning on the XMP profile may cause your system to crash. So only follow this if you do not have mixed RAM. I highly recommend not having mixed RAM, as it will cause system instability. Another thing you might want to do here is head over to timerresolution.com and download Timer Resolution. Click on maximum until your current resolution goes to 0.500 milliseconds. This is just a little program that changes the way that Windows is handling Windows in the background. It'll definitely help improve your latency in some cases and FPS in even more cases. So once you have Fortnite opened up again, open up your task manager, and you're going to want to basically click the drop down and right click on Fortnite and click on Go to Details. Once you find it here, you're basically going to right click it and click Set Priority. You can set it to high. Setting it to real time will definitely cause some lag. I'm just going to set mine to high. Most of the time it'll say access denied. Some of you guys will be able to set it higher. Right click on Fortnite launcher.exe. You can set the priority to high. That one actually goes to high. So that's what you're going to want to have set to high. And that pretty much covers it. If you follow all those settings, you should actually notice an extreme improvement in your FPS on Fortnite in-game. Let me know down in the comments if that worked for you. Hit that subscribe button, ring the bell notification, as we will be posting a lot of game content here in the very near future. So make sure you are following along on Lunar Clan. You can also find us on TikTok, which I've linked on the description. And yeah, and with that being said, hope you guys have a great day. Until next time.